Another 20 kilometers completed. 4 minutes 46 minutes per kilometer pace. Overall time 1 hour 35 minutes.
All right, we are right now 75 days out from the Rotterdam Marathon that is happening on April 12th of 2026. And in order to see where our current fitness level is at, I've incorporated a half marathon race, which is happening in 5 days from now. That will be the 1st of February, this Sunday, where I will have a half marathon in Gouda to see how fit I am, how I'm approaching the 21 kilometers, as I have a clear goal to run a little bit faster than marathon pace for at least 21 kilometers. So that will be around a 1 hour, 17, 18 minutes in total that I have to finish the half marathon. That is my goal. So what we are getting into this episode and the expectations around everything that will be covered inside this episode is all about how I'm approaching the trainings for this week, the nutrition that I will have this week, and on top of that, most importantly as well, how I will basically approach the entire carb load for like at least 2 to 3 days before race day. So with that being said, welcome to episode 3 of the Marathon Build.
Alright, so first things first, I always start my day off with the date. So this is the first thing that I will be consuming today, and then after that I will also prepare some of the scoops of this sample that I still have for the brand, and that is what I will be consuming, especially for the 5k run. Normally of course I train fasted for my gym sessions, but this will of course entail everything that I need for the run itself, which is fuel and hydration in terms of cluster dextrin for fuel and electrolytes for hydration. I'm basically right now almost completely through this entire sample. And before I will receive a new round, I will head towards the manufacturer in Belgium, which is around a 4-hour drive from where I live here in the Netherlands, to basically completely finalize our formula. So to also let you guys in on the story about exactly what happened over the past, let's say 1.5 years, because the formulation to get towards this product right now has maybe taken 1 year and a few months, because when you're basically willing to create something and you have an idea around it, you're very basically focused on that one thing that you can create it the best way possible in order to deliver the quality for the product itself and for the people that eventually it will consume it too. So to let you guys in on what happened, it has been highly stressful. Yeah, let's keep it like that. I basically needed to reiterate a lot of ingredients. I needed to talk to about 50 different manufacturers. I worked with 2 and I needed to cancel it from the moment I wanted to make the purchase order, because the quality was not that what I was striving for and that supplier could not deliver upon it. So it has been highly stressful. But to be honest, so is everything. So right now, one of the most important times for our brand itself, for our first product, will come almost to an end, because right now we are going to change a few last details, and this is going to be super exciting. The first thing is that the ingredients itself in here are really good. In terms of quality, I'm very happy with that what we have created so far. There is one very important thing that we will adjust, and that is the flavoring, because this is having no flavor at all, and we did it on purpose to only use ingredients that athletes need. But I was talking to Leo Neugebauer, and Leo Neugebauer is right now a very close friend of me. I basically met him because of a need that he basically asked me, and I let him in on the story of my brand as well, and he helped me basically reformulate some of the things that I already had included in this formula. He told me, Carlos, if I would do one thing, I would highly suggest you to add flavors to your product. That is not something that you, let's say, would then interrupt with your core values of not adding any ingredients that your basically body or that your train doesn't need.
Because from an athlete perspective, just to let you guys in as well on who this person is, he won the world championships for track and field in Tokyo basically last year in 2025. And that is a huge accomplishment, of course. He became world champion. Right now his goal is, of course, to become basically, to get the gold medal on the Olympics. And he said, one thing that I know for sure, if I can talk for myself and the people that he is working with on a daily basis, the very big athletes, he said, flavors are important because that allows us to, based on the palatability, to consume it more often and more frequently, so we can also tap into that fuel or tap into that hydration, whatever product you're having, on a more consistent basis. And we don't look like, just at that product as if we don't want to consume it. And that is super important, he told me. So what I'm going to do right now is I will head towards the manufacturer within now in 14 days to finalize our formula, and more importantly, to do flavor testing, which I will also share with you guys. So that's something that I wanted to share. That's super exciting stuff coming up. Right now we'll take about 6 scoops, which are very small, as you can see from this sample. And that will include 1 scoop in total of serving size as soon as we have the final product with the bigger bottle. So with all that being said, exciting times ahead, and let's prepare our first meal. But let's start off with this date. Alright, so the workout has been completed. Right now we have our first real meal of the day. So I don't have too much time right now. So what I basically did, I added everything in this shaker, and it's just like super simple to create, to be very honest. What I did in order to create more, let's say, carbohydrates in each meal is literally adding, instead of 1 cup of, let's say, these oats, I add, for example, 1.5 cup. I will do the exact same for also the rice that I will consume and potentially the sweet potato as well. But what we have here is just 1 banana. We have some raspberries, like cinnamon and all this stuff, some protein, of course, some salt. We added everything in here, topped it off with honey, and that is basically what the first meal of the day will contain. So it's super simple, super convenient. We don't want to overcomplicate it. And the next meal will, of course, be a little bit more extensive, also in terms of time. And that's it. To be very honest, this tastes amazing, but normally I always add also some sort of like nuts into it, or some peanut butter, for example. I explicitly did not do that right now, of course, because we want to lower our fat intake. Also lower, or let's say moderate a little bit more about the proteins and increase the carbohydrates. So that's what we have done. Super simple, super convenient. And right now I have some calls, so I need to basically speed up. Alright guys, so right now it's time for our second meal of the day. And this is going to be, again, a super simple yet super effective meal. And I want to let you guys in on something that specifically worked really well for me during my first, basically my second marathon that happened about 4 months ago, which was in Amsterdam. And the reason why I'm bringing this up as well is because I started to carb load very consciously and basically very effectively from basically what happened as the result of it. And that's exactly what I will right now replicate as well, which I would like to share with you guys. Because what I did during my second marathon, in which I was able to run basically a 2 hour and 15-minute marathon, is that I was literally doing nothing more than literally that what I have said, reducing my proteins, and then look at what you normally take on a day-to-day basis in terms of proteins and also in terms of fats, also in terms of fibers, and make sure that you lower your protein to like maybe half of what you normally would consume, and really drastically decrease the amount of fats and fibers like almost completely. Because fats basically, of course, slow down digestion, and fiber is something that you don't want to consume too much, especially like around 72 hours when you're out from race day, because it will just not work very effectively
on your stomach if you're running at a high intensity and you basically need to go to the bathroom every 10 kilometers, for example. So that's something that you can directly implement in order to basically facilitate your carb load. As of right now, what I'm preparing is 1 complete cup of rice, and I added a little bit on top of it. So like maybe 1.2 cups of rice, which I would normally take only half a cup. And I will basically right now cook that in bone broth. This is of course something that I can also drink up afterwards. Bone broth just very good for your muscles, for just reduce inflammation and a lot of other health benefits. So you can also recover the best way possible, especially if you're close to race day. Then what I will have on top of that is around 200 grams of ground grass-fed beef. And we're gonna top it off with 2 eggs. And I'm gonna do something very different. Normally, of course, I'm taking like 4 eggs per meal, which equals around 8 eggs minimum on a daily basis. Right now, I'll just have 2 for my middle meal and 2 for my last meal, and included 1 as well for in the shake earlier today. But what I will do is I will add these 2 eggs scrambled inside this pan, inside the skillet. Then when the rice is done and cooked, I will literally add that inside this pan so I can then mix it all together. The taste becomes very good, very soft, and it becomes very creamy as well. And then of course the ground beef I'll add on top of that, and that's basically the second meal. But to let you guys in on something that helped me significantly is to start carb loading around 72 to 48 hours from basically race day. So if you're running on Sunday, make sure you start your carb load preferably on Thursday. That will allow you to also basically store up those carbs that you will consume on a daily basis inside your system, so you can store it as glycogen, so you can tap into that on race day itself. If you're only going to do that 24 hours before, it is not going to work the way how it's supposed to be, because it basically needs more time to digest and to store up, so your body can tap into it. That is the first takeaway. Right, and that brings us to takeaway number 2. And takeaway number 2 is, from what I believe, even more important, because what I did wrong in that sense for my first marathon, which happened in April of 2024, is that I was not aware of how much basically carbohydrates I needed to consume in order to basically store up that glycogen in my muscles and in my liver in order to step into that come race day. So what I did like a few months ago during the marathon, which happened in Amsterdam, was basically that I was very aware and conscious of the fact that I needed to take around 8 to like 10, maybe even 12 grams of carbohydrates, depending on the intensity and distance of the race that you're running, per kilogram of body weight. So that means if you're basically 100 kilograms, right, that you should take up to like 800 minimum in terms of kilograms in terms of grams per kilogram of body weight. So 800 grams for you if you're 100 kilograms in total mass. So that helped me significantly in order to basically facilitate as well, just to know the number that I needed to consume in order to save that up for the most important time, which is race day. So that is something that I also wanted to share, and that's something that you can also do for yourself. So just calculate how much you're weighing right now, and then just divide that by 8 to maybe 12, and that is the amount of grams per day that you should be consuming in order to get sufficient carbohydrates stored up in basically your body. So I hope that helps, because normally I would never ever take so many carbohydrates throughout the day, as I'm basically more an advocate of consuming more fats rather than more carbohydrates, because I just feel better. But especially during like the final days before race day, you want to make sure that you have enough carbohydrates saved up so you can really tap into that and have your advantage during the most important time, of course, which you've signed up for, which is the race itself. All right, so what we have finally for our second meal is the bone broth that we cooked in rice. the rice itself with 2 eggs. We have ground grass-fed beef and of course 1 banana as well, chopped up, and we also cook that inside the pan itself. All of this we're gonna of course top off with some honey, and after that this is the second meal. Super simple, super effective, and tonight we have 1 more to go, and that will be sufficient for today. Tomorrow we have some more meals like this, a little bit more in terms of volume, and that's it for the carb load. So with all that being said, right now I'm gonna enjoy this, and tonight we have 1 more meal which I will share with you guys as well.
All right, third meal of the day. This is going to be the last one, and this one is going to be interesting. So what we have are 2 sweet potatoes, just to get some additional carbohydrates, of course. We have the rest of the ground grass-fed beef, which we took earlier today as well, with of course some butter, some honey, some cinnamon to top it off, and of course 2 to 3 eggs. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna add these in the oven for about half an hour. We're gonna cook the meat in the meantime together with the eggs, and then we're gonna mix everything up into a bowl. So the idea is to literally create kind of bowl that I'm just a very big fan of, that I can eat almost every single day. This all together is gonna include, of course, a lot of carbohydrates, still a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat. Tomorrow I will reduce the fat and protein amount even more, so I can consume more carbs, but 2 sweet potatoes will do it for this meal. So with all that being said, I will show you guys how it's gonna look like. This is very tasty and super simple to make. Let's go. All right, and this wraps up day 2 of the carb load. Right now we are 2 days out from the half marathon. We have 2 whole sweet potatoes, 3 eggs with some ground grass-fed beef. Right now what we're gonna do, we're gonna add and top it off with some cinnamon, and of course, always on every meal, also some honey. So with all that being said, 2 days out, tomorrow we'll repeat this process, and Sunday will be basically as fit and as fresh as possible with our glycogen topped off, so we can tap into that because of this carb load. So with all that being said, let's enjoy this meal, and we see each other on Sunday. Alright, so I'm right now packing my last stuff. I basically prepared everything already yesterday, but this morning I was thinking again on what happened exactly 1 year ago, because on February 16th of 2025, which is almost 1 year ago right now, I basically ran my first half marathon. This was back when I lived in Spain, and the time that I basically crossed the finish line in Spain at my half marathon was 1 hour and 23 minutes. As of right now, my goal is to run a sub 1:18 half marathon. So anywhere between 1 hour 16 minutes to 1 hour 18 minutes, that's what I'm aiming for. And that might be, of course, something that is maybe too big of a gap compared to where I was 1 year ago. But I genuinely believe that I'm right now in a state as well that I will be able to run this half marathon about 5, 6, maybe 7 minutes faster than I did 1 year ago. And that is something that you can only commit to and have aspiration to do it if you're also going to be consistent in the trainings leading up towards race day. I genuinely believe everybody who's going to commit to a process, and let's say it will be your first race, like a 10K, maybe a 5K, maybe you will run your first marathon. As long as you're gonna commit to the work and you know that you should do in order to create the outcome that you desire, I genuinely believe that nothing is impossible if you don't let yourself down. That is exactly what happened to me as well over the past 365 days. Because if I would tell myself after that half marathon that 1 year later, I'm right now going to approach a sub 240 marathon attempt and try to run a sub maybe 180 half marathon, I would not believe it. But eventually when you're going to commit to a process, then when you get to that point that you can actually achieve it, it's not something that is coming out of the blue. because you work your way up towards it. And that is not any kind of arrogance that you think that you can achieve that outcome that maybe might have seemed impossible to most people, because you commit to that process yourself. You create the outcome, you create the opportunity to get there. And when you do that, when you commit and stick to the plan, then it might not be such kind of thing that, oh, this is not what I expected, because you worked your way up there and it's not coming like overnight. And that's one of the most powerful things I believe that everybody can achieve if they want to do one thing and they want to commit to the journey. Like, not only enjoy it, because it's not going to be enjoyable all the time, but it needs to be dialed in. You need to be focused. And if you are, plus you're going to put in the work that you should be able to do to create the outcome you want, magic can happen. That's something that I truly believe. So that's what happened to me in the past year. And I genuinely believe that everybody can do it. Genuinely. Alright, so what I did yesterday evening before I headed to bed is basically structuring the entire workout in the Garmin app. So the app and the watch itself can walk me through the entire half marathon from kilometer 1 to kilometer 21.1. So what I've done in here in training and planning, I've added my workout. And this will walk me through every single step that I've included at the pace that I want to hit in order to find out if I'm actually able to approach the marathon, like for the sub 240 marathon, based on the half marathon that I will be running right now. So I'll walk you through it, what I mean by that. So as you can see, 21.1 kilometers, I've divided in 4 steps. The first 5 kilometers, I want to hit a pace of 3:42 and 3:45 minutes per kilometer pace. This is about the pace that I need to run for the entire marathon to hit my sub 240 goal. And why I start this way and a little bit faster than like what I need to run for the full marathon is because a half marathon is literally, like, obviously half that of what I will get into 70 days from now, leading up to the full marathon in Rotterdam. So I would like to approach this a little bit faster to see if I'm on track for the eventual marathon that I will run. The second step is the 10 kilometers, for 10 kilometers at an average of 3:38, between 3:38 and 3:42 minutes per kilometer pace. Then we have step 3, which is again 5 kilometers. This will be basically between 3:35 and 3:40 minutes per kilometer pace. And the last step is just to find out if I can full send it at that point still, or if I may be completely destroyed. This is going to be super critical, like specifically the last 2 steps. If I still have energy left in the last 6.1 kilometers, especially the last 1.1, so I can even speed up my pace even more, that means that's an indication to myself that I'm fit enough. So for the last 1.1 kilometers, I want to hit a pace of around 3:35 minutes per kilometer pace. And this overall will give me an overview, as of right now, estimate of 1 hour 17 minutes and 50 seconds.
Alright guys, good morning. It's right now 8:28 a.m. and right now we are on our way to Gouda, which is around a 2-hour drive. So I will be there around 1.5 hours before the race, as the race of course will start at 12 p.m. So we still have sufficient time. Then we have some time to stretch there, and of course as well to fuel ourselves up basically before the race starts. So what we had of course this morning was exactly that what I also consumed for the marathons that I've done so far, which is very simple, it's very effective, and I would like to approach everything basically around fueling as simple and as effective as possible. So what we had was of course 2 pieces of sourdough. We had like some jam on it, 1 whole banana, and we topped it off with some cinnamon and also some honey. Overall, it might have been anywhere around 2 to maybe I don't know, maybe 100 to 200, anywhere between those ranges in terms of carbs. It's exactly what I consumed as well on the race day for the marathon. Alright, so right now I will have a few more things that I will consume in terms of my fueling strategy before the race starts. That is one bottle of 2 scoops from our endurance formula, which is carbohydrates and hydration, of course the sample. And these were the last scoops that I had, which is in total around 40 grams of carbs and around 700 milligrams of sodium in one bottle. On top of that, I will also take 1 caffeinated gel about 15 minutes before the race starts. The bottle that I will sip on with 40 grams of carbs and around 700 milligrams of sodium will be exactly that what I will consume as soon as I arrive in Gouda. So about 1.5 hours before the race, 1 hour, 1.5 hours. That will allow my body, of course, to digest easily, so I don't have any stomach discomfort during the race. And then, of course, like I said, 15 minutes before the race, I have a caffeinated gel, which I will also consume 3 of during the race, which will be around kilometer 5, kilometer 10, and kilometer 15 or 16. So I have sufficient energy in order to approach that race the best way possible. And of course, on top of that, we also added in each bottle, as I have 2 scoops of electrolytes. And with that being said, that is our fueling strategy. Right now, we are approaching my friend who is gonna basically run with me, and it's gonna be a great day. Let's talk about everything, how the race goes and how it went as soon as the race is over. I'm very, very excited.
Dan moet je nog een poosje hier blijven trainen. Dan moet je daarvoor uit.
All right, 21 kilometers completed, half marathon, 1 hour, 16 minutes and 35 seconds. Honestly, I cannot be more proud, and that's the one word that I feel most right now, proud, because to be very honest, I controlled the race from kilometer 1, and eventually it basically went, I went out for maybe 17, 1:18 half marathon. Right now, 1 hour, 16 minutes, 35 seconds is faster than I ever expected. And I think that's because of one thing, because I controlled the race from start till the end. And because I went so dialed into this race with fixed numbers that I wanted to hit from kilometer 1 to kilometer 15, I stick to it, not getting my ego in the way, running faster than I should do. And that allowed me to run the last 6 kilometers faster than I expected. And that, with the intent that I went into it and the result that I've achieved right now, I feel even more confident to run, let's say, the marathon in 70 days from now. So my mother is calling me right now. Let's pick this up. And I can only be proud of myself right now. 21 kilometers, 1 hour, 16 minutes and 35 seconds. 3:39 minute per kilometer pace. I'm super proud. 70 days out right now from the full marathon. The prep has just begun, and it's gonna only be better. So I can't wait. April 12th, 2026, we're gonna approach the sub 240 marathon. Let's see how far we can get it.
All right, fam. Good morning. It is Tuesday. It's day 2 after the half marathon. And this morning we had our first run on our schedule again. 20 kilometers, easy pace, 1 hour, 37 minutes at an average of 4 minutes and 49 seconds minute per kilometer pace. So what happens next? Right now we are very, very confident. I feel really great about what happened, of course, 2 days ago in Gouda. This genuinely boosted my energy and my confidence by so much. I can only recommend people who are right now in a prep, or you're preparing for your first marathon, or you're preparing for your first race, whatever it might be, give yourself some tests in between. If you hit these tests and you hit them well, you hit the pace that you want, you get such a great boost of energy from it. I can only recommend that. So what happens now? There are 3 big workouts on my schedule, and right now we are 68 days out from the Rotterdam Marathon. These 3 big workouts I will document from A to Z. And what this includes is a 30 kilometer, a 33 and a 35 kilometer workout on week 8, week 6 and week 4 ahead of the marathon that we are getting into right now. And these ones are either very big confidence boosters as well, or they tell me that more work needs to be done. So with all that being said, that will be documented in the next episodes. I'm very excited to see where we are at right now, 68 days out.
and I can't wait to see everybody in the next episode and especially on race day, April 12th of 2026. Thank you for watching.